I sometimes think back to those cartoons and books I would read as a kid, and just how colorful and odd they were, the way the animation styles blended together, the proportions, and the way people were drawn, and the shapes were all wacky and whimsical. And that as I aged, the cartoons became more grounded in reality. It's as if everything's shifting to more as what it truly is. But yet, I wouldn't say one is necessarily better or superior to the other, but that it reflects how we see things, how we piece things together. And one way in which this certainly is tied together is in the form of paintings and artistic depictions from the Middle Ages to the Renaissance. Buckle in, because we're going to go over some European art. But before we do that, welcome to my segment. This is Night with the King's Cabinet podcast, and I'm going to be discussing various things from a meta-philosophical perspective. So if you're prepared for things to get pretentious and probably me stretching and grasping at straws, well, you've come to the right place. So stay tuned. I wouldn't consider myself a weeaboo for the West. I don't even know what you would call that. But one thing that's always fascinated me, especially in school, is when they would show those paintings, those tapestries of whether it's battles or daily life within the Middle Ages. You see how things are a bit off. They're not quite analogous to reality. The way people's hands and bodies move, while they certainly make a bit of sense, the proportions are always a bit off. The way objects interact with one another in terms of distance and angle, it's strange. But yet, it makes sense what they're trying to depict. Our minds are able to piece together what's going on here. Assuming, of course, you have the context at the time of whatever that would have been. That can be difficult for us in the modern era where we may not understand why walls look a certain way or why this is located next to that. But these depictions, they're imperfect, but we understand enough of it that we can piece together what it's trying to convey. Now, as time passes in the Middle Ages and you get into the Renaissance especially, you begin to see paintings and other forms of art become so much more realistic. This isn't to say that statues didn't exist before then, they obviously did, but I'm talking about paintings here. These tapestries, these frescoes, just anything. You begin to see so much beautiful detail. Again, it's not quite photorealistic, maybe that's not even the right word, but it's so much closer to what it truly is that it's trying to convey within its borders on the canvas. In a way, this is how human memory works. This is how our minds try to collectivize the past. They try to show us how it was in the best way possible, in the most accurate form. This shift exemplifies this perfectly. When you're younger, your mind is developing. And well, frankly, your brain is still developing until around the age of 25. But that's besides the point. You often see colors, images, and your brain will try to make a vague recollection of what it is. It may be more clear for you at the time, say you're like 8 years old, but I'm going to be honest, I don't remember a decent chunk of when I was 8 years old. At the very least, I have fuzzy memories, and I can logically piece together where I was at that point in my life, but the recollection will be fuzzy. But as time passes, and my more recent memories in life, say like the past 10 years, it's so much more vivid. I can think of the proportions of the rooms, of the people around me, so much more accurately. I remember them more for what they actually are. And that's how memory works. Your brain is doing its best to simply piece together what once was, and what we saw, what we perceived, what we heard. And it's not necessarily a bad thing either. You can still gain value from something that has gaps. Sure, there might be important details within those gaps, but if you're not going to remember them, or if you can't find a way to get the truth out of it, you have to take what you have and work with it. That's true for anything in life. You're never going to have everything. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I personally don't have high standards when it comes to material possessions. If I don't have every little thing, I won't be upset. Now, when it comes to information, the more I have, the better. I can plan better that way. But as I've stated previously, planning only gets you so far. You can only bring the world into so much order around you. Do your best to do that, but understand that chaos will always be there, no matter what you do. And this applies to memory as well. When you're piecing together things from the past, it doesn't have to be perfect in order for you to get your point across when you're explaining something or trying to understand the past. If you frame it honestly and do your best to be explicit in your framing, others can see that and say, hey, maybe the way you're looking at this is off. Maybe the way you're looking at this is right on. We have to do our best to help each other piece together the past. That's kind of the beautiful thing about history, is that we're slowly trying to get down to brass tacks. We want to see what really happened. Although I fear there are some negative consequences to this, I'm trying to look at the positives. I'm trying to see how we can derive the good from the gaps within our memory, the gaps within our depictions of reality. And that's what I see when I look at this shift in art styles. That's enough about me rambling on about paintings from the past. I'm a geek, okay? Just accept it. Anyway, if you liked what you just listened to, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at TKCRG2021, and follow Joker and I on Twitch. That's JokerP598, and that one Jackal Sniper 117. Hope to see you guys in the next one. Take care.